Well, we have experts warning about underused airports by the governors. Much funding yet not used. Is that misplaced priority? And finally, experts expect new visa rules on study and work trips. For those that prefer the jackpot syndrome and use, studying and working to go out of the country, it might be stricter now. And, there are now tighter laws protecting energy infrastructure as well. You just have to stay tuned as I, FEIVA, or Laurentilla, and Comrade Ayodeji Ajishope unpacks all of these stories and what they mean for Nigeria going forward. This, once again, is from the dailies, and the station you're tuned into is Solutions 939 FM. Stay tuned, don't change the dial. Let me quickly have a roundup of the papers this morning, the stories that made the front pages, the headlines for today. And the Punch newspaper, it led with politics, spotlighting, key developments in the 2027 ADC opposition coalition. The story also reviews calls by ADC for the Tinubu government to stop suppressing political rivals, accusing the administration of plotting a clampdown ahead of next year's election. And also, I said earlier about the report of former SGF boss Mustafa affirming that Tinubu didn't make Buhari president. I will check the figures on the Punch newspaper and let you know while I'm having the conversation with Comrade Ayodeji Ajishope today. Now, it's just counter the claims that Tinubu made Buhari president in 2015. There was a figure mentioned, and I'll talk about it too. The Vanguard highlights, a mixed bag. Aviation experts criticizing the state's expenditure on underutilized airports. The Senate choosing to criminalize vandalism of power lines, and strong national security news, including troops neutralizing bandits in Katsina, and the federal government securing a $747 million loan for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. On the Nigerian Tribune, there was a focus on fierce political discourse. The ADC alliance labeled divine by Primate Ayodele. Very interesting story. The presidency accused of plotting against the coalition. That was also found on the Punch newspaper as well. And former President Buhari assuring that the party unity with Tinubu and his pledging that it's never going to betray the APC. Well, we are going to find out. While the Nation front page, features key national issues, ongoing security in the northeast, the troops killing insurgents, political reforms measures in the National Assembly, and continued scrutiny over aviation and visa policy reforms. And now these stories I'll try to discuss with Comrade Ayodeji Ajishope. So I'm going to go and connect virtually with him this morning and see how we can cover all of these amazing stories, intriguing stories this morning. Good morning, comrade. It's a pleasure having you again this beautiful Thursday morning.
Yes, good morning to you. It's another cool morning in this city of the world. Good morning.
It's cool. As at the time I was coming into the studio, it was, it felt as though it was going to rain. I don't know if it's raining already, but I know that it's definitely going to rain.
Yet. It's not raining yet, but it's looking like it's going to rain.
Okay. All right, good morning to you. Now, let's talk about the stories. Should we first talk about Buhari and Tinubu, then talk about the coalition And then we talk about the visa, the Japa syndrome and the strict measures being put in place on Nigerians. All right, let me talk about, the Buhari and Tinubu dynamics.
Okay.
Yes, there is this
dynamic. Exactly. It won't.
Okay. Let me see here on the Punch newspaper. Okay, yes. On the Nigerian Tribune, it says Buhari's popularity won the 12.5 million votes for APC in 2015. That's from the SGF. That's Boss Mustafa speaking there. And Buhari's, yes, that's Boss Mustafa talking there.
Yeah.
And then also saying that Buhari's, Tinubu didn't back Buhari during the election. Let's talk about this dynamics, because during the campaign, we all saw Tinubu right behind Buhari. And yes, say Buhari, say Buhari, say Buhari, until he got the vote. I quite remember.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the dynamic.
All right. Now, when I saw that story by Boss Mustafa, I was quite amused, honestly, because he said Tinubu didn't bring Buhari to the presidency. Well, it is an opinion, and there's absolutely nothing wrong in that. But the fact was, Buhari had run a number of times, I think 3 times, and he lost, in spite of those numbers. You understand? Those numbers basically gathered from the northern part of Nigeria. He actually came, purportedly so, with 12 million votes. You understand? That is usually based on the last election result. Now, in 2015 specifically, now he won the election with 15 million votes. So the addition subtraction that is being done is that Tinubu and others contributed only 3 million votes to Buhari's victory in 2015. That's arithmetic. That is not politics. That is not the calculation. In spite of the 12 million votes that he had in 2011, why didn't he win? You understand? Why didn't he win? Fact is, he did not fulfill the constitutional requirement of 25% in 2/3 of the state. And that was what the legacy groups, especially the ACN group, gave him. You see, incidentally, Boss Mustafa is was a part of the ACN. He wasn't a CPC member. He joined the group APC from the ACN of Tinubu. But you see, the calculation in the air now is different. You understand? He was not supporting Buhari then. He was supporting Tinubu's ACN. But the calculations are different now. So if you said Tinubu did not bring Buhari to power, Buhari and his associates that brought him, they practically brought him. They practically persuaded him that the only winning path to the presidency was an alliance or a working arrangement or a grouping with the ACN that was in a strong, the Southwest. Up to Edo was the stronghold of ACN. Lagos, Oyo, Ogun, except probably Oyo in 2011. But by 2011, ACN had taken Oyo too. So Lagos, Oyo, Ogun, Ekiti, Ondo, Osun, and Ogun, and of course, Edo, you understand? So he needed that to fulfill constitutional requirements. And let me tell you, if anybody had told Buhari in 2003 that he was going to work with a Tinubu, it was perfect. And if it was, So the same thing was told to Tinubu that he was going to be in a political working arrangement with Buhari. Of course, he wouldn't have thought it fit and possible. But the fact is that the two of them, Buhari was persuaded to see it as a pragmatic path to attaining his presidency. And when the proposition came to him, that means Tinubu, he saw it too as a pragmatic path for him to attain his own presidency too. That is the only reason that brought them together. Power. Power. I have said this repeatedly in our studio, that how now, if we have political parties that stand for anything, how now could a Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is touted to be progressive, be in bed with an ultra-conservative like a Buhari, and a Buhari he had run down, if you check WikiLeaks, it is still there, that Buhari is incompetent, he cannot bring any progress or anything to Nigeria. It is there on record in WikiLeaks that Tinubu said so about Buhari. And it is that same Buhari, the two of them simply applied common sense, pragmatic politicking. How do I get there? What will take me there? And they chose that approach, and it's got them there. It's as straightforward as that. That is pragmatic politicking. You understand? And unyielding and bending Buhari saw the path, was persuaded to see his path to presidency. And Tinubu too latched on to it that this is the path for me to rise on the presidency. And he did. Even if he had to fight tooth and nail, it was a path for him. So it was just simply pragmatic approach to attaining power.
Would you say it is also pragmatic politicking that is going on in the ADC, the combination of Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, and all those forces? Is it also pragmatic politicking?
It depends. It depends. Just like Buhari, Obi is going around that he has 6 million votes. You understand? From the last election. But we all know that if Obi tries to run again in 2027 on his own steam on the platform of the Labour Party, he's not going to get those figures because the circumstances that coalesce to produce those numbers will not be existing. It is clear. Will not be existing. Some of them. The ethnic factor will still exist, but some of them will no longer be existing. The Christian or Muslim saying that got in votes in parts of the north, the Plateau, Yobe, and some other states. That will not exist. And of course, the issue in Lagos, the NSAS extension, that went into the election, all those factors will no longer be prevailing in 2027. You understand? But he will still be going around that I got a national spread. I got 6 million votes. So that is his bargaining chip now. Even to get the ADC ticket. So, and it's going to be an interesting thing. It's just done. It's not even unknown yet to 2027.
Okay, I wish we could speak more on the coalition because there's this statement on the Nation newspaper or the Vanguard. I want to confirm. Yes, regarding the ADC and the presidency over alleged plot to overthrow the president. And they termed it as repressed opposition. But I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the states. The states building, airports, pumping money into infrastructure that is not viable. Several state-built airports that are labeled as economically unviable. How did we get there?
Shall we unmask it?
Let's unmask it. We have a few minutes to unmask this.
All these projects, you understand?
Yes.
It will bring in one construction firm. It will bring, it is all an attempt, except for a few of them, you understand? I mean, you know how much Osho put into the airport. You may not be familiar with that argument. And they had always had an aerodrome. I was a kid in Ede, and I knew that light aircraft landed in Ede in the early 60s. You understand?
Yeah.
I think there was an aerodrome. Even the one in Ibadan was called an aerodrome until it was upgraded and started landing F-27. Those were the biggest aircraft it landed. F-27, I think that was the biggest until it was moved out of that place. So Osun was building one in Ede. That was Aregbesola Day. And then the new governor, current governor, moved it to somewhere around his own location. He provided arguments because the Nigeria Air Force took away part of what used to be the one in Ede, in Osogbo, and is now taken to Ede. Now, look at the waste that had occurred in that instance. And what is Ede doing with an airport? When you have one that is being seriously upgraded, or you have spent maybe 2 billion to get a big dump. That was one reason why aircraft were not spending the night in Ibadan, because they had to go and refuel in Lagos. That was the first thing the governor addressed, and then he also had to address. So Oyo is spending about 9-10 billion or thereabout on that. And, the viability, the commercial viability of that, we are still to see. But I know it's part of an integrated vision of the governor. Now, okay, Ogun's building has built a cargo airport. You may say you understand because moving cargo on the road is not the best. But of course, not by air. It should be by rail. You understand? That's why Oyo is building a cargo base in somewhere around the new train station. So all these things, Ekiti has one. All sorts of, let me tell you, unmasking it, it is the easiest way to siphon money. All these monstrous projects, all that have no direct bearing on the people.
Including the $747 million loan collected for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway?
No. That's an arterial highway. I mean, imagine the number of states that's going to cut through. And the loan is going to take off the major roads to the east. That's an arterial. It's not the only one being built. It's not the only one being built.
How many road projects have been embarked upon and never finished?
I think if the man gets a second term, the road will be completed. It is a legacy project.
I like the fact that you used the word "if" it gets a second term, it will be completed.
It has to
What
be.
if it doesn't complete? He doesn't get a second term. What happens to that project?
They are so serious about it that they are running from both ends. They are not going from Lagos to Calabar. They are doing it from Calabar end too. That tells you how serious they are. They are aware and conscious of the issue of time and the issue of possibility.
I want us to factor in that if.
If and if not.
If it doesn't, because there are lots of projects that we have huge amount of money collected, loans collected for, and once the sitting governor leaves, it becomes abandoned.
That is the challenge of governance in Nigeria. Somebody is former governor, a governor before me, and I come, and rather than complete the good ones that are viable and of import to the people who own the resources, they will go and start their own. When Seyi Makinde assumed office, and I'm not saying this, as a PR job. No, when he came into office, I remember the first year, what the APC members and party were saying was that he had not completed any project of his own. I couldn't understand that. Okay, what was the man doing? The man was completing projects initiated by his predecessor. Money, resources deployed into those projects that were not completed belongs to Oyo State. And the people of Oyo State, he abandoned it and started doing his own. I mean, continuity. Governance is a continuum. You inherit the assets and liabilities. What's the meaning of that? You come and do your own bit. Another they don't say, what do you call it? But Seyi Makinde did connected the zone. You understand? Somebody did in interest city roads. You understand? As it be initiated. Okay, it was Akala that initiated it. He did JLN, oh, not JLN, to whatever, what you call it, okay, to Monete, you understand, Queen Cinema to Monete. Ajimobi came, okay, he also did UCH to Total Garden and Gate, and Ajimobi came and completed it. I did not complete that particular road. Ajimobi came and completed it. I initiated or I was dualized then. You understand? Governance is a continuum.
Your state
Governance
is quite
personal
different
business.
from other states.
Huh?
Your state is quite different from other states. We are just lucky to have continuance in your state.
Well, that's common sense. That's common sense. That's what governance is all about. You acquire the assets and the liabilities.
How many governors in Nigeria? How many governors in Nigeria does that?
And don't forget that this is where Awolowo governed. The core of what used to be the Western region. Don't forget that. And we are an obeying and slave educated people.
I hear that. Now, speaking of education, and let's talk about the brain drain in Nigeria. Now, there are visa restrictions, there are visa, FT bans on some of the visa. Now, I want us to address this whole thing in your own view. How does this align with Nigeria's brain drain, the labor market challenges, and what does it, what is the benefit of this, limitations, these restrictions on visa?
They are not restrictions. It is for non-immigrants alone. And let me make it abundantly clear. It is a retaliation of Nigeria's visa policy too. You pay $160, you cannot spend more than 30 days or so in Nigeria. Who are the people? Who are the Americans that come to Nigeria visiting? You understand? I mean visiting on vacation. And rather than let them come in and come and spend their dollars, you are imposing very strict, as if we have a national security concern regarding, well, it is a retaliation. It is just a retaliation. We were getting 2 years multiple entry. You cannot spend more than 6 months. Now, America reviewed the policy. Okay, why is Nigeria treating us visa, granting of visa? Why? You will go through hell if you are a Nigerian. You're not Nigeria, or you do not carry a Nigerian passport and you want to come to Nigeria. You will go through hell. Even Nigerians that come with British have situation of relations who have British passports, they will have to go and get an exit, visa on it. I've had to help some people do that. But Nigerians who are coming, visiting Nigeria, they use their Nigerian passport when they're coming to Nigeria. So it is just a retaliation. It has nothing to do with immigrant visa. Absolutely nothing. The processes for immigrant visas are still the same thing. They're already scrambling in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs now to see what they can do. I mean, 3 months, you understand? If I have to, if it's non-immigrant, if I have to go to the United States, I'm a businessman, you understand? I'm a businessman. I shuttle between Lagos, Abuja, London, and New York, or wherever. And then I have to go back to the American Embassy every 3 months to renew my visa, in spite of the stress and the processing. So it is the Nigerian system that caused that one for us. It is not retaliation. It is a retaliation. And it affects only non-immigrant visas. So there's really no problem.
Okay. Well, at this point, we have to leave. I wish we could communicate more, but I need to say bye-bye. My time is fast spent.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure riding with you.
It's a pleasure riding with you. See you again next week, Thursday, so we can do this.
That was good. That was good.
All right.
All
bye.
right. Take care.
Yeah. As far as I can go this morning. Thank you very much for staying tuned to the station. Now from 10 o'clock down till the end of the day, we have more and more interesting programs for you. Next up is on our bio. Please just stay tuned. Don't change the dial. My name is FEIVA. Olorotola, in everything you do today, consider that you are making impact. Whatever it is you do today reflects in the nearest future. What will people say about you when you're gone? Put that, in your mind for today. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.